All right, what is going on, everyone? Good evening. Good evening. I'm just getting set up really quick on Instagram. So, what's going on, everyone? My name is Lauren, and this evening I want to talk to you about the three things that are keeping you, that are blocking you from your dreams and goals. The three things that are blocking you from your dreams and goals. And I'm hoping that my Instagram feed is working, but we will go ahead and jump right in. Let me just check here. Check here. Perfect. All right. So, the three things that are keeping you from your dreams and goals. But before I jump into the content for this evening, I want to tell you a story. So, there was a young woman, and very young. She was about 16 years old, and she had a problem that most 16-year-olds have when they are a rising senior in high school and it's summertime. That problem is that she was broke. And not dissimilar to some adults, she had a desire to meet this need to make some money. But she did not see it as a problem to stop her in her tracks. It was really just a problem that had to be solved. And so, what she decided to do was to go to the computer and make the most incredible marketing material that she could make, which was a business card on copy paper. And she put her name on there, she put her phone number, and she punched a hole in it and tied some black yarn, hung it on the doors of all the houses in her neighborhood. And that little business card said, "Hey, my name is so and so, and I'm available to watch your kids this summer." That's all it said, and it had her phone number. And she went around, she distributed them, and she just sat back and said, "Well, this is what I'm going to do. This is the best thing that I can do with no money, no car. I have my license, but I don't have any money. So this is what I'm going to make this work." And wouldn't you know, within a week of her putting those little cards that were quite frankly very poor looking on the doors, she got not one, but two babysitting clients. And so she was set for the rest of the summer. Well, I want to let you know that that young woman was me. When I was 16 years old, I went around my complex and I did exactly that. I made these little cards and I hung them on the door and I just hoped for the best, but I didn't tie anything to it. And I was very pleased that I was able to get these clients, but I wasn't going to if it had not worked out, I was just going to find something else. But let me tell you, there is something that happens between us as children, as teenagers. And there's a change that happens between then and us becoming adults. As adults, we become overwhelmed. As adults, we become bogged down by the what ifs, bogged down by the unknowns, bogged down by the fact that, well, what if somebody laughs at me? At 16 years old, my business cards were pathetic, but I didn't care because they had one purpose, and that purpose was to give people my name, give people my information, and get babysitting clients. And it worked. So I want to tell you the three things that are keeping you back from achieving your dreams and goals. So let me pull up my notes here, make sure I am giving you everything that I wanted to give you. And I'll pull my marker and let me zoom in a little bit for my friends on Facebook. And if you hear that rumbling, there's going to be a thunderstorm. So we're going to make this quick, make sure that the power doesn't go out. But the root of these three things that is keeping you from your dreams and goals is one word. And that word is this: perception. That word is perception. I'm going to pull up the definition. I pulled it up on my computer so I would be prepared. And the definition of perception, when you look on Google, the third definition says a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the perceptions that we have in life? And how do they impact us when we are trying to reach the next level in our life, in our business, in our relationships? How are those perceptions impacting those things? So the first thing that is keeping you from your dreams and goals is your perception of yourself. When I was 16, my perception of myself was very regular. It was the perception that a 16-year-old tends to have. It is, I'm 16, I need money, and that's it. That was the perception of myself. I didn't have to deal with the psychology that comes with adulthood. I had a very narrow focus. I had a problem that I needed to find a solution to. I did not care what people were going to say about me. I didn't care if the neighbors laughed at my business cards. I didn't care if nobody called me back. All I knew is that I had a problem that needed solving. So the number one thing, the first thing that you have to ask yourself is, what is the perception of myself? And how is that impacting me? How is that keeping me from my dreams and goals? If your perception of yourself is that I need to have a certain persona, if there's ego, if there's pride, let me tell you that that is the first thing that is keeping you from your dreams. You have to kill the ego. And you have to be willing to do the work for you to reach your dreams and goals. Number two, the second perception that is keeping you, blocking you from your dreams and goals. It's the perception of your product or service. Well, you're probably like, Lauren, but I don't have a bad perception of my product or service. You're probably thinking, I actually really like what I do. But I want to let you know that the way that you show up in the marketplace is indicative of what you think of your product or service. If you're not willing to share your product or service, if you're not willing to have conversations about your product or service, if you're not willing to sell your product or service, then I have to ask the question, what is the perception that you have of your product or service? Do you feel that you're not adequate? Do you feel that you're not equipped? Do you feel like you need a little bit more time to develop? Let me tell you, perfect doesn't exist. We have to get into the habit of doing imperfect action. Imperfect action is better than perfect undone action, right? So you need to ask yourself, what is my product? What is my perception of my product or service? And how is that impacting the way that I'm showing up in the marketplace? And if the perception of your product or service if it is not, this is the best thing that I could bring to the market right now, based on my skill set, based on my resources, based on who I am, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Not necessarily about your product or service, but about that mindset. About that mindset, because you want to make sure you are showing up as effectively as possible. And the third thing, this is the third perception that is keeping you from your dreams and goals. It's your perception of your price. Your perception of your price. Well, why does that matter? When I had my babysitting business, part of the reason why I wanted to do it wasn't just because I was 16 and I needed money. I was trying to buy a car. And so I knew that I was not going to accept a certain amount of income. If it didn't make sense from a dollars and cents perspective, I was not going to take that opportunity to babysit somebody's child. It needed to make financial sense because I had a goal in mind that I was trying to reach. But a lot of times, what we do in the marketplace is that instead of focusing on the goal, we have a perception that we push about the value of what we bring to the marketplace. We have a perception about what people can afford. We have a perception about, do they think that I'm worth this, instead of focusing on the goal. So we undercut ourselves, we don't cover our costs, and we wonder why we're continually going through this process of, I want to quit my job, but I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the resources to do it. I don't know how I can get enough income to cover my expenses so I can quit my job and be all in on my business. This is the reason. And so you have to fix your perception about what your price means to you. If your price is connected to your goal, then it doesn't matter what the market says. If your price is connected to a vision for your business, then it doesn't matter what the market says. It doesn't matter what you think people can spend. You are going to position yourself and your product and service to demand the price that you need in order to hit your goal. So this was just a very, very simple demonstration of the top 3 things that are blocking you from your dreams and goals. But the root of all of this is your thoughts. And so if we don't get control of our thoughts, if we don't get in control of how we view ourselves, how we show up in the marketplace, the things that we say, the unspoken things that we demonstrate in our body language, in our energy, then we will always be struggling in this realm of perception. And so to challenge you this evening, I'm going to give you some homework. I had an eraser. Where's my eraser? Ay. I lost it. All right. So we will, let me write it over here. So your homework for this evening is to identify a time when you were fearless. Identify a time when you were fearless. Identify a time where your actions moved beyond any type of perception that you could have allowed to limit your success. Identify what it was like for you. Identify what you were able to accomplish. Identify the transitions, the changes that you had to make in order for this to happen. And once you've identified it, I want you to list out those characteristics. List them out. Make it plain so you know exactly what you did. And then I want you to compare it to what you are doing currently in your business. And if there is a disconnect between the time that you were fearless and your present day, then you need to start picking some things from this list. We need to start picking some things from this list and start incorporating it into our action so that we can change our perception, changing our thoughts, and ultimately changing our outcome so that we can accomplish and achieve our dreams and goals. So that is what I wanted to share with you this evening. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was impactful. Of course, now I found my eraser. I hope this was impactful. I will be back on Wednesday evening with another little nugget for you to just take your business to the next level. And if you have any questions, if I can be of any assistance to you, please make sure to send me a message. I'd love to see how I can support you and your business as you grow. Until next time, family, peace.